play by play in sprint. Okay, it's all about Scrum. So let's start it. In this introductory level article, we'll look at the mechanics of the sprint and how we team members are expected to collaborate in order to produce or release quality increment. So the very first day, sprint planning, the whole team includes the product owner, meet on the very first day on the sprint and conduct a sprint planning session. This is very first thing happen as soon as the sprint commences. So the first thing is sprint planning. Okay, so like we can see that product owner, and on this side if you can see this is product backlog. Okay, product backlog items. This is the development team, and this is sprint planning. Whatever they are doing is forecasting the whole sprint, and this is sprint backlog, whatever they are taking it from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. So this is all the cycle of Scrum. Okay, this is all the sprint cycle, you can see that. So in the preparation part, sprint planning ought to be prepared for the most important preparation is to ensure that the product backlog has been redefined to an appropriate level of detail with estimates and acceptance criteria. This is the purpose of the product backlog refinement. Next, the product owner should have ordered the work on the product backlog and have a general idea of how to negotiate a valuable sprint goal within the team. The options for negotiating a goal should also have been considered during refinement and reflected in a backlog ordering. Also, the team should have an idea of their capacity of the sprint, which is to say how much work they believe they can take on. They may be able to use their experience with previous sprints to help them in a certain of the size of the budget. So what we have learned is the product owner is taking the product backlog and trying to negotiate with the team members, development team and Scrum Master, that what we can take it for the sprint backlog, what do you think, what is your estimate, and they are discussing in the preparation part. And then they'll be able to they can also say that if you want to use your prior experience, you can use it and to ascend the size of the project. Okay, then the first plan, the value that will be delivered. First plan, the value that will be delivered. Each sprint should result in a valuable increment of completed work. Each sprint should result in valuable increment of completed work. Whenever we are going sprint by sprint to the next sprint, and so the previous sprint should give us a valuable increment of our completed work. Okay, fit and ready for immediate release. After each sprint, we should have something to be able to release. It's called a releasable product, and the product owner is wholly accountable for that value and ought to have ordered the backlog in such a way that value can be maximized by the team. A sprint by sprint, the first thing that team must do is to plan which items from the product backlog should be worked on this item, so the best value can be delivered by the end of it. To do this, the team would work with the product owner to select the most valuable items for the product backlog, which is for the first projected capacity for the sprint. Bear in mind that each item on the product backlog ought to have been given an estimate by team, so they will know roughly how much work is likely to be involved. So on every sprint, the product backlog selects some most valuable items from the product backlog. The product owner will select the most valuable item from the product backlog. Most valuable items means the main priority things that she or he, the product owner, thinks that it should be delivered in an early stage. So she will select some really valuable items from the product backlog. We start with the project, and by keeping in mind that the other items are still in the product backlog that need to be given some time, and then after that they will estimate the time, so they will know roughly how much work is likely to be involved. Okay, so this is the first thing. Now be sure to agree a sprint goal. Now they will finalize. Let's see how the goal will be finalized. The selection of work should be cohesive and should just a grouping of unrelated and disparate items. Remember that the sprint is a time box opportunity to achieve something significant. As we know that sprint is always a time boxed opportunity because we have a limited time for every sprint. For example, by the end of the sprint, a coherent feature may have been delivered or a significant risk will have been mitigated. The sprint goal is a simple expression of the purpose for overreaching significance of the work selected and the coherence behind the selections. A good sprint goal will always allow your team to demonstrate the focus and commitment and allow collaborations of the replanning of the work is met. So next plan, how the work will be done. So why we need to fix a goal? That is why, because we know that it's a time box. We need to have something out of it after the time ends, and so that we need to deliver something which is significant, and it's been risk free, and it's already been mitigated with the flaws what we had in our in the last sprint. So there should be a goal so that everyone should work on particular goal and focus with the commitment to plan and to work on as per the plan. Next plan, how the work will be done. So let's go and see. Our sprint backlog is more than just a selection of work and the end of the goal in a mind. It is also a plan for how that goal will be achieved and how the associated work will be performed. This can be done by identifying and ordering the technical tasks that are likely to be involved. In fact, the sprint backlog is a plan for meeting the sprint goals. The sprint backlog is a plan for meeting the sprint goal. Like whatever we are having it in the sprint backlog, this is the sprint backlog, and these are the items from the product backlog. So we keep on taking 2 or 3 items in the sprint backlog, and then from there it creates some tasks so that we perform the task. And as soon as these tasks are getting completed, these items are getting completed. So that means the sprint backlogs are getting completed, and then from the product backlog, what are the remaining items that is still here, we take it again. So it's like a FIFO, first in first out. Whatever is coming here, it goes out, and if something left, then again it comes back through this. Okay. We'll see that in later stage. This can be done by identifying and ordering the technical tasks that are likely to be involved. In fact, the sprint backlog is a plan for meeting the sprint goal and a forecast of the work that to be done. So a product owner has to plan for all these items from item 1 to item 8 in its product backlog, and she has to manage the total timeline, and the development team always has to work on this particular sprint backlog. Whatever the product owner is giving as an assignment or as a task in the sprint backlog, that is what is for the development team. The product owner does not need to be present for this part of the sprint planning, as it is up to the team to plan its forecast and technical level. So sprint planning is done only with the development team. There is no need of product owner and there is no need of Scrum Master. But as said, if they need any help, they can approach any time to product owner and Scrum Master for whatever kind of help they needed, for any kind of things. Okay, but the main purpose of sprint planning is for the development team, because they need to decide how they want to plan and how they want to do these 3 items in the given limited time. However, the product owner should be available even if it is remotely. Okay, so like I said, product owner will always be there with the development team, but maybe he's not in the planning in the first stage to answer any questions to the team they may have and provide any clarification that be needed about the scope of the work. If more than one release is expected during the sprint, they should be agreed with the PO, project officer, and accounted in the project backlog. So development team will decide how many release they wanted to do with this sprint backlog. They wanted to release all 3 items in a single release, or they wanted to release one by one. In a one release, they wanted to release item 1. In the second release, they wanted to release item 2. Okay, so it's totally depend upon the development team. By the end of the sprint planning, a team should be confident that it has made a good forecast of the work that will needed to be made in the sprint goal. So after the sprint planning, the first sprint planning, they will be having some sprint goal, and they'll be able to have a good forecast that will be able to work in their coming sprint goal. It will have captured the plan in the sprint backlog which has seen wholly owns, and the team should be able to begin implementing that plan immediately and with a clear understanding such as sprint burn down. Okay, and how much work remains at the time of a given point. So this is a burn down chart, like kind of a timeline chart, and you can say it's a burn down chart because it gives estimated task hours and days of the sprint. So likewise, this is a burn down chart and it gives an inclined slope. So that means they have forecasted that 20 days of sprint will take, and estimated task hours is 1000 hours. So as soon as the days will go up, the estimated task hours will reduce. Okay, like on the 20th day it will be 0, on the 0th day it will be 1000 hours they needed, on 4th day they will needed some less than 1000 hours, on 7th day they'll be needed around 700 hours. So like this is a whole slope. This is called a burn down chart. Estimated task hours and the days of sprint. The next thing is each day, every day. Once the team have planned their sprint backlog, they can start work. If they have planned things out of the task, they will collaborate with each other as a team to make sure that those tasks are completed. They'll be able to track their progress by using the task board and sprint and burn down on remaining. These are the tools for the development teams to work on and to get their forecast ready. What are the things that is left, and what are the things that they need to work on. Like we always put our reminders or checklist. What are the tasks that are pending? So like that, burn down chart and this Scrum board is good for that. Okay, each team member will be sure to keep the Scrum task board and the sprint burn down updated. So each team member of the development team is responsible for maintaining this burn down sprint and this Scrum task board. And this also, if you can see that this is the product backlog, they will just post it with the list of tasks that is there, and then sprint backlog, whatever they have taken it from the product backlog. Then this is in progress. There are 2 items that is right now in progress, and then peer review, that is called a review sprint. It comes under review sprint. And then in testing phase, there's 1 item in the testing phase, then it's a done stage. As soon as something comes to a done stage, there will be something which comes from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. Depend upon the product owner. Okay, and then this is blocked. That means it's gonna be taken for some other time. So let's see this. Each team member will be sure to keep the Scrum task board and sprint burn down updated, so the information can be relied upon the others, and information narrator should always tell the truth. So if anyone comes at any given point of time, and they can just see the Scrum task board and can observe what is the real progress. Okay, if any like a Scrum master, product owner, anybody comes and just check out this Scrum task board, they will be able to know that what is the estimated estimated progress of the particular project, of the task, of the sprint. Okay, and they'll be able to know the forecast of the remaining project. Hold a daily Scrum every working day at the same time. The development team will meet, and every single day there will be a Scrum meeting of 15 minutes. At the same time, development team will meet and plan what they will do to bring them closer to the sprint goal. And this meeting is called the daily Scrum meeting. Okay, the everyday meeting is called the daily Scrum meeting, and it should never take more than 15 minutes. This is the main thing. The daily Scrum meeting should never take more than 15 minutes, and on this 15 minutes, what they do, the development team comes and they decide whatever they are doing, if there are any flaws, or is there any restrictions that they are coming from, and then if they have any issues, they can just confirm to the product owner or Scrum master if they need for that, if they need to do so. Okay, and the other thing is that they do it basically just to see that they are closer to the sprint goal. And this development team is only solely responsible for this daily Scrum meeting, not product owner and not Scrum master. Scrum master may join this call as an observer. Only development team members should participate, as the plan of the work belongs entirely to them. Okay, only development team members, and they have to do it on a daily basis for 15 minutes, not more than 15 minutes also. And it is a time box opportunity to replan sprint backlog as a result of the new discoveries and lessons learned during the sprint. So whatever they have learned during the last sprint, they'll be able to, just discover and discuss within the team members, and the whole team should participate. Each team member should be able to account for what they did yesterday to help the team meet the sprint goal, what they intend to do today to help the team meet with the sprint goal, any impedance which getting in their way. So impedant means any issues, any blockage, any obstacles that they feel it's there in their in their path, so they can see that. By the end of the daily scrum, each team meeting should have a clear path of next 24 hours and the understanding of the how they will go and collaborate with each other, and they should have a list of the impediments which have they require for the scrum master's attention. So now let's after the daily meeting, let's go back to process of the cycle, and the next part is refine the product backlog. In Scrum, product backlog refinement is not a formal event but an ongoing activity. So why it is an ongoing activity? Because after each sprint, after each releases, product owner and the development team goes back to the product backlog and see what left. Okay, so we don't know when it could be on the daily basis, it could be on the weekly basis, it could be on the monthly basis. As soon as the last sprint goal is finished, they come back to the product backlog, what is remaining there, and then they will take it from there. Okay, so the process of adding details, order, estimate to product backlog, it's such as the user stories, items such as user stories. It's up to Scrum teams themselves to decide how often to do that, although it's certainly a good idea for them to build refinement into their daily routine. Refinement shouldn't take more than 10% of their total team time during the sprint. So they can do it on a daily basis also, and they can do it on a just refinement basis, like, and it will only take their 10% of the total time in the daily sprints. For most of the teams, half an hour of a day may be adequate, although some they may prefer to spend an hour or two couple of times a week. And the important thing is just to make sure that the product backlog is refined in a timely manner so that sprint planning can occur without impediment. Why we do this refined product backlog? Like, if we have taken 3 items from the product backlog, which was consist of 15 items, so we are working on 3 items, but maybe it happens that 2 items can be able to deliver it in this sprint, but the 1 item cannot be delivered. So we'll push back to we push back the item number 3 to product backlog. Then again, when we coming back to product backlog to take out the other items for the next sprint, we may redefine ourselves, and we can say that there are other possibilities, that there are some priority things that is more than that item number 3. So it's like redefining and refining your product backlog every time. Whenever you're taking something out, you redefine it, you reforecasting it, again your replanning is there, so that everything will go well and there would be any impediment in your sprint planning for the further sprints. The whole team, including the product owner, should participate into doing this. Okay, and refinement sessions typically begins with the product owner presenting the current product backlog to the team, and the product backlog may be held in a number of forms, such as an electronic Scrum board or other collaborations tool, or it can be simply a spreadsheet or projector or a sheet screen can be very useful. The teams start at the top of the product backlog and walk their way downwards, refining each item in turn. They'll examine each one and discuss its scope and the acceptance criteria, and they will necessary for this completion. Each item will then be estimated using a technique such as planning poker. A large item may be broken into smaller ones and capture greater details specific in the decomposition of the user stories. So how it goes is like, all the product backlogs are there, then they will search for every product backlog and they will keep on discussing about how much time it will take, how much resources it will take, and how it will be done. So if they find a very priority task, but it is very complex, and they need to break it into smaller pieces, in smaller modules. And if they decompose into smaller modules, it's like user stories, then they can, you know, try to find out the real planning for that. And the team stop once the session's time box runs out, and they will recommence where they left off the next time, and eventually starting at the top again, so the backlog is kept up to date. Always collaborate. The Agile practice team members never work in isolations. If they did, they wouldn't be in a team. Okay, so Agile practice is like team members never work in isolation. Every team member should work in a collaboration with each other. So that is what is Agile. If you're working, if your teammates are working isolated, or they're doing their own solely manner, then it's not an Agile process. Then you're not following the rules. So in fact, the team member and the teamwork is so important that the role is development team rather than a developer. That is why this role is given as a development team, not a developer. And entire members who are there, like up to 9 members who are there in the development team, they are considered, and their role is development team, not a developer or any other individual. Okay, so that is why it means a lot if you work in a collaborative manner. This means that each development team member must collaborate with his or her peers throughout the day, as they were jointly responsible for the progress, and any problems or failures arise jointly owned by the team as well as their successes. Collaboration is not something which is restricted to events such as daily Scrum, but applies to something the team does throughout each entire sprint. Examples of the collaborations. Examples of the collaboration include helping peers to complete work in progress before bringing in new work from the backlog. Pair programming, such as taking it turns to the keyboard and helping checking each other's work. Peer review, asking help and being keen to give it. It's like respecting others. Going to where the work is being helping instead of waiting for the work to be passed over them. Making sure that all work does in fact meet the definition of done. Calling a Scrum in order to resolve problems with need the team's immediate attention. Raising impediments to the Scrum Master so that they need to handle in a timely manner. Updating Scrum dashboard, burn down charts so the information up to date and replied one is skill and knowledge sharing. So these are the things that needs to be done in a collaborative manner in development team, and they have to follow the rules, 5 rules of the Scrum. It's focus, commitment, openness, respect, and courage. Okay, so these 5 values they should follow every time in their entire Scrum process. Now the final day, review and retrospective. So now they are working on your project, and then the final day of the sprint comes. Hold a sprint review. On the final sprint day, when everything is ready, we'll have a review of the particular sprint. If a team is collaborated efficiently, they'll be work together to meet the sprint goal and managing the risk and adjusting their plans as necessary. They will have a demonstrated control throughout the sprint through an even burden of work remaining, where each member saw as a personal responsibility to help work in progress, and they'll have a valuable increment to demonstrate the product owner and any invite stakeholders. So review is something team should look forward to. It also something the team must prepare for. Enough time will be allowed for the demonstration of the work and which has been performed. Tasks may be planned on a sprint backlog for this purpose to make sure that the review does service justice to the work done and the value is now available. Also, if the product owner thinks that it would be a good idea to invite the stakeholders, then those invitations ought to be sent. And the review is an opportunity to celebrate the work which has been done and to showcase their accomplishment. It's done, and if everything was fine, then they conduct a sprint retrospective. Sprint review looked at the product and value delivered at the work which has been done honestly and candidly at any work which wasn't done, whatsoever the reason. The next thing is to conduct a sprint retrospective. So sprint retrospective is only for the work that is not done, okay, that is yet to done, that was scheduled to be done in the previous review, but it has not been done. So sprint retrospective is for that. A retrospective considers a process which the team is following. Are they working as effectively as they can? It's generally best to hold the retrospective immediately after the review, because the former can introduce the ideas of consideration later. So as we know that we went to the sprint review, we saw everything and everything went very well, but somehow we may feel that there is some kind of lacking. Everything was good, the product was good, the release was good, but there may be some chance of improving. Okay, if we see some chance of improving, then we will hold a sprint retrospective, and in that retrospective, what we will do, we again go back and we can see that can we do much more effectively, can we do better than the previous one that we have done it. So all the points will be taken into considerations, and that points will be used in the later phase of the sprints, whatever you're going to do in the next sprints. Then the whole development team, the product owner and the scrum master must all attend the retrospective. So retrospective sprint will be attended by development team, product owner, scrum master, and because everyone is jointly responsible for the success of the teamwork, so it's all about the teamworks. Now the team consists of scrum master, product owner and development team. So everybody will be collide and everybody will collaborate with each other, and they will search where is the lag. And if they see any lag in the process, if they see any lag in any of the product catalog, if they see any lag in the initially the coding or the development side, then they will just point it out everything, and then they will work on it. And it is really important to have a free open session and which gets to what are any problems and identify the actions which will have to resolve them, and retrospective may begin with the following declarations. So after the retrospective is done, there'll be a declaration like, regardless of what we discover, we understood and truly believe that everyone did the best job they could. Regardless of what we discover, we understand that truly believe that everyone did the best job they could, given what they knew at the time, their skills and abilities, the resources available and the situations in hand. So this is the genuine holy words that one can say. Might be this can be the words of scrum master, this can be the word of product owner or the development team, like regardless of what we discover, whatever they have done it in the last sprint, they will understand that it's truly their best job they could ever done, and given what they knew at the time, because they were all honest. If everybody is honest in your team, then whatever they are doing it, their 100% with their abilities, resources and skills, and that's the situation in hand. Okay, so in the retrospective, everyone has an equal voice and one approach, which is scrum masters, and may facilitate to identify things which went well and which didn't go well, and ideas to improvement. Shout outs for the team members and their succession is stabilizing it. Time can help jog attendees' memories and significance of the stream. So, and this will be the end of a particular sprint process. So this is the cycle. We came to the sprint retrospective, and this will be the end of the life cycle of the sprint. This is what a typical sprint, step by step, play by play. Thank you all. We go on the next one. Let's see what do we have here. If something we have it, Scrum people skills and myths. So we can see it on the later stage.